So, welcome again to Friday night candlelight yoga. And I'm really glad that Christina did just remind me that it's Friday night because I think this is the first time during this whole thing that I kind of forgot what day it was. So, with that perspective, let's have a nice tall seat, and the intention, the guiding word for tonight's practice will be flexible, being flexible. So as you sit up tall on your mat, notice where you might be feeling really rigid in the moment. And do what you can to untangle that here. Adjust your seat, which can often reframe your posture. Check in with your arms and shoulders. Are they rounding? Let's unround, right? Shoulders lift, they roll back and down. Oh my gosh, that feels better. Let's do it again. Shoulders lift, shoulders roll back, and then they drop down. Ooh, and now my elbows are in a brand new position. They're dangling from the sides of the body as they should. Arm weight should be pouring from the side of your body, not tugging off your front. So let's continue that essence of roll back and place our hands on the mat behind us. Lean back into your handprints comfortably and evenly, and start to puff your chest upward, a buoyancy in the chest and heart space. And that starts to produce that flexibility through your spinal body. And the spinal body, it travels from your root, right, your tail on the ground, all the way through the top, the crown of your head. So as you lean your head back, lean it back comfortably without strain. And let's take 3 long, deep breaths. Noticing the gentle stretch across our shoulders. The collarbones have a little space. 1 more deep breath. Now let's sit up on our own without using our handprints, aligning our spine vertically, right, up and down, ground to sky. And from that vertical line, we'll start to lean to the right, lean to the left. So we're starting to get into lateral or side bending. But I'd love for us to refer to it right now as side lengthening as we lean. Draw your breath into these movements. And when we're being guided by our breath, the movement and our breath start to slow. There's more control. Let's warm a little with spinal circles, trunk circles. And lean back just a little on the back swoop of the circle. Notice the beautiful spinal stretches that exist all the way around the circling action. Let's change our direction now, smoothly changing direction. Don't forget to lean back a little on the back part of the circle. Attentive to how smoothly you're breathing and moving. Let's meet at center. Right leg, we're crossed right now. Right leg forward, stretching forward. Adjust your seat if you need. Fold forward gently. There's no need to pull or, pull on your foot or force forward. Instead, let's hinge from your hip. Use your hands, fingerprints to help steady you, to help balance you. As we breathe deeply, we start to meet the stretch a little bit more in every breath. And let's be here for many breaths to get to know it. (360-degree breath, filling belly, ribs, and chest. And if you notice that that's not happening, if that's hard to fill, then dial back your pose to the place where you could breathe deeply and fully. That's the yoga zone. Let's call it the yoga zone. Sit up and change sides. Let's reframe the pose. This pose, Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. But again, please don't get deterred by the name nose or head to knee. Doesn't have to be that way. Remember, hands to floor, fold from your hips. Find the peaceful spot where you can breathe and you feel the good stretches happening. And those stretches are happening through your left leg, left extended leg, and through your extending spine. We're going to be here for many breaths. One more long, deep breath, friends. And then we'll sit up. Change position. Let's meet in downward facing dog, giving our body a little bit more openness through the hips. We start from all fours. Turn your toes under, 10 toes turn under, and you can feel a nice stretch engage when you do that. Tails up. Plant your front paws down deeply forward. The planting of your front paws really gains you some traction so that the stretching action, the lengthening through your spine is happening. We will be here in downward dog for 5 more deep breaths. Balanced. And let's check in that those breaths are filling 360 degrees of your belly, ribs, and chest. Bring your knees back down to the ground in our tabletop pose. Now, we'll take our bodies, we're going to take ourselves all the way to the ground. So elbows down, legs extend back. We're lying on our belly and hips on the mat. Balance down through your elbows. We're doing Sphinx pose. And the Sphinx is an elbow, arm balance, forearm balance. Those spaces press downward into ground. Shoulder heads broaden apart. Hips broaden across the mat. And give your feet just a little bit of room behind you. Your legs don't need to be straight together. A little space, legs in frame of your body, please. Now, once you've framed the Sphinx, if you notice that your shoulders are climbing up towards your earlobes, let's again downward press elbows and forearms, broaden the shoulders, lift your heart upward. Breathe deeply, and then softly let your chin dangle. Keep your head balanced well. Forearms and elbows pressed down. Start to feel the breath enter the back of the shoulder blade space, softening any hard edges. One more long, deep breath, please. And then we'll release. Right elbows can lift, hands plant. Let's push ourselves up and back to child's pose, Balasana. Resting center forehead on mat. We've got many breaths to be here, so let's pay attention to the details. Your bottom feels heavy-ish on your heels. Your spine is lengthening from that heavy point of your tail. You can feel a little space being developed between each of the vertebrae in your spine. Check in that you really are balanced on the center of your forehead. Allow the chest muscles to surrender their weight towards the ground. If they're recoiling upward, let that space soften downward. And again, attentive to how your breath is penetrating the space between your shoulder blades, right there at the back of the heart. Now slowly peel yourselves up to tabletop pose again. We're going to meet on hands and knees. And we reframe ourselves here, rebalance. And think of the front part of the mat here as the right quadrant and the left quadrant, right? Front quadrant of the mat. Bring your right foot up to the front right quadrant of the mat and place your footprint profoundly on the mat. Step it down. Hands then are going to help us balance, and the left hip sinks but it sinks very sweetly. We're not going to jam the hip towards the floor. We're going to let it fade or feather downward. Balancing is key. And part of that balance is done through the right footprint. We're in our lizard pose or dragon pose. Feel free to use that essence of the Sphinx, letting your chin just softly fade downward. Check in with your 360-degree breathing. Are you? I hope so. All right, my friends, so look forward, lift the head, and we'll back out of the dragon pose. Your tail aims backward and your right leg straightens. We shift ourselves into balance, again, using handprints or fingerprints to drive in that sense of balance. Right leg straightens comfortably, and you can really feel your right hamstring taking a good stretch. Find that point of good stretch, not strain. Notice where those spaces of murkiness are in your musculature. And those are the spaces that we're spending the time. And we're paying attention to how we position our body so that we can breathe in and start to stir up some life in that murkiness. One more long, deep breath. And we'll pull back right heel to all fours position again, our tabletop position. Left foot steps up to the left front quadrant of the mat and hands plant comfortably. We sink our right hip towards the ground gently. Again, find your balance. And then we dive into the pose a little deeper to discover our 360-degree breathing. Perhaps we just dip the chin softly. Put our of left foot and two hands and right lower leg. Those points grounding downward as we stay upward. Lengthen and breathe. One more long, deep breath. And then we'll shift tail back and extend left leg for our Ardha Hanumanasana, our deep hamstring stretch. Hands or fingerprints help us balance. Align your spine and lengthen, and breathe. One more long, deep breath, y'all. And left heel slides back. And we shall take a seat. Onto our bottoms we move, and we can straddle, once we're on our bottom, we can straddle our legs outward. And now that we've reached this new seated position, I just want to give you a thumbs up. You're doing a wonderful job with these very long holds tonight. Many, many breaths equals long holding of the yoga pose. And those moments of pause are fabulous. And I hope that you're finding some new golden nuggets within the postures because you're taking the time to notice new things. So what we can notice here in our straddled position is legs are straightening. We're bending from our hip hinge. We're using our hands to help us stay balanced, to check in with our spine, that it's really lengthening and heart launching forward. We don't want to have the heart recoiling back, which eating of the back. And that's pretty counterproductive. So unfurl the length of your spine, launch your heart forward as you hinge forward, and maintain a point of forward flexion that feels good for you, produces good stretch and not strain. And when I mentioned long holds earlier, holding the pose in that moment, in those moments of pause, many moments, 2 minutes. Each pose we've held has been 2 minutes. Good job. One more long, deep breath, y'all. And then peel yourself up slowly. New position, or actually revisiting a position. Let's come back to Sphinx pose. So lying on our belly and our elbows and forearms. Reframing our body here in Sphinx. Legs in frame of hips. Hips are broadened across the mat. Heart is launching forward and upward as elbows and hands press downward. And then to surrender, once we've established our balance and our length, then we softly sink the chin and breathe deeply. 360-degree breathing. Belly, ribs, and chest are filling. There's real power in the arm frame that's supporting you on the ground right now. And that arm frame, it contributes to stable shoulders. Shoulders feel connected to the body. All right, looking forward again, just lifting the head up in your Sphinx. Hand position changes so that we can push ourselves up and back smoothly to child's pose. Balasana, resting on center of forehead. Elongating the spine, outstretching our arms, but not overstretching our arms. Discovering our 360-degree quality breathing. As you continue breathing, notice the equilibrium in the right and left sides of your body, and the sense of equilibrium in the deep inhales and the long exhales that you're taking. Now let's slowly peel ourselves up from that delightfully long child's pose. And right foot steps up to the right front quadrant of the mat. We're going to do another dragon pose. Balanced right footprint, balanced handprints, balanced body, of course. And then maybe softly letting the chin fall. Applying our 360-degree breathing. Just check in that you're receiving a nice stretch through the right gluteal muscle. There's a stretch happening through the right hip, but also through the left hip flexor, the front of the hip, the front pocket, the front of the left thigh. Those places are getting a good stretch. They're not suffering strain. Balance is key to finding that point of steadiness and ease. Now let's shift back. Tail slides towards the back of the mat and right leg straightens. We shift as needed to establish our balance for Ardha Hanumanasana, the hamstring stretch. Logically align and lengthen your spine as you're here. Slowly, we'll slide our right heel back. Good work. I really have to applaud your patience and your willingness to pause so that you can find more pleasure in the practice of yoga. Left foot step to the front left quadrant of the mat as we develop our dragon pose. Softly sinking the right hip towards the ground. Establishing your left footprint and two hands balancing. Softly sinking chin and breathing deeply. All right. Slowly shift the tail back. Ardha Hanumanasana. Left leg straightening, finding your balance again. All right, friends, slowly bring your left heel back and let's have a seat, please. Straddle pose, legs out, straddle legs out, stretch legs outward. Sit up nice and tall in your new seat and check in again to your body to find your hip hinge forward. Let's stay true to that action as we breathe deeply in our straddled forward fold. Applying our 360-degree breathing to our position. All right, slowly we sit up again. New position will be on our backs. So please lie on your back with butterfly legs, soles of our feet touching together, knees flying apart, hips and shoulders and chest and arms widening across the floor. And you can feel how the gentle pressure of your footprints together that helps to generate that stretch across your inner groins and thighs. The pose you are practicing is called reclining bound angle, Supta Baddha Konasana. Relax your arms and shoulders. Allow your knees, the outer knees and outer thighs to feel heavy. And continue to apply your 360-degree breathing. Go ahead and bring your knees back together, please. You can feel the inner thighs give a little squeeze. That closure feels good. And right leg, knee to chest. Let's get a good hold of the right leg, tucking in the right leg. Left leg extends to the rest on the ground. Relax your shoulders back. Apply your 360-degree breathing to this right knee to chest pose. And release. Right leg. Give your left leg a hug now, please. A good hug that is secure but also serene. It's not too tight, but it is secure. And your shoulders can relax as you hold your left leg. And you can truly apply your 360-degree breathing. Now relax your left leg to the ground and distribute your body equally across the ground surface. Your arms flow evenly from the sides of your body. Your legs are resting evenly. And the key word there is rest. May you rest here, breathing deeply and also relaxing deeply. This last pose you practice is called final relaxation, Shavasana. Breathing as if delivering oxygen to every cell in your body. And as you're breathing deeply, hopefully feeling the new space that you've expanded into in your body tonight, a new sense of flexibility within. Now is the time to be flexible. Be patient. Keep your mind open. Don't rush to conclusions. Be wary of unshakable certainty. Allow for unthought of possibilities. You will broaden your vision and strengthen your judgment. Time cools, time clarifies. No mood can be maintained quite unaltered through the course of the hours. May you stay flexible, and definitely may you stay healthy, my fellow humans. Thank you for coming to Candlelight Yoga class tonight. Have a nice trip back to the surface again.